you got to understand when gold started taking off, it went from 2000 and it broke out of the gates at 2000. And it's been like 2 years that it's been above 2000. Okay. Silver just got out of the gates above 50 2 months ago. This is only starting. I'm going to repeat. Gold's been making new highs above 2000 from 2011 for 2 years now. Silver is only out for 2 months. So this has got a long way to run with regards to time. And because there's a lot of time left into the future, the numbers that are coming are going to be breathtaking. So, good afternoon, everybody. Today is January 7th, 2026. And this is Andrew's and my first interview for 2026. And I'd say we have a few things to talk about. What do you think, Andrew?
I think we do. It's a lot happening with precious metals right now.
Did you ever think when we did a podcast literally 12 months ago and silver was like, wasn't it $28? It was under $30 literally 12 months ago in January. It was definitely under $30. And they were having projections for gold. Hey, gold, the boys in charge of the financial market think that gold might actually hit 3,000 by the end of the year. Remember that one? No one even talked about silver, right? Silver was off everybody's radar, and the analysts that knew everything were saying that, hey, we could see gold go as high as 3,000 by the end of 2025. Andrew, were they like so far off it's ridiculous?
Yeah, they were ultra conservative. In fact, here are the exact numbers. I keep it on a note on my desktop 24/7. So heading into January 1st of 2025, exactly a year ago, silver was $28.84 an ounce. Gold was $2,624 an ounce. It happened exactly how you said, Bo. They were saying that silver could hit $3,000 an ounce.
Gold.
I mean, gold. And one thing I always say, what's good for gold is great for silver. Now let's break that down with real numbers. Yeah. In 2025, gold went up 65%. That's good. But what's great is that in 2025, silver went up 144%. That's what we mean when we say what's good for gold is great for silver.
Right. And I've always like Nick, it was Jim St. Clair used to call it silver is gold on steroids. And why you understand that. And we're seeing that. Okay, let me explain what that is. It's like if you see gold go up, say on a percentage basis, let's say it's up 1% on the day. Since April of this year, silver would do 3% a day or 4% a day. In other words, the percentage per day is greater every single day since April relative to gold. And that's why in April, I think it was like 100-1, the ratio, and now, or it's greater than 100. And now the ratio, last I checked, is like 58-1, gold to silver. So, Andrew, all I know is I feel so good, to go to events, say hi to people. Like if you were doing something shady, the last thing you'd want to do is show your face in public.
Exactly.
Right? On the other side of it, that you and I have done our podcasts with the best, absolute best intentions. We spoke from our heart. I was a little bit more out there because, I look at the Bible and I look at scriptures and I'm like, hey, man, forget like $50 silver. I'm looking at, hundreds. But the point is, whether you're conservative or not, what I'm saying is the financial guys on TV, they're liars. Okay, Andrew and I came on this show. I was a little bit more aggressive on the numbers, and I love that Andrew's a little bit more conservative. We were always on the same page about where things are headed. And right now, Andrew and I will go to any event, and all we ever hear is what, Andrew? What have we been hearing for the past several months from everybody that walks up to us?
It's first of all, when we're at these events, I can't go 10 minutes of having a conversation with one person before another client comes up and says, hey, I wanted to shake your hand. I've had a great experience with my investment with gold and silver. But it's changed. It's shifted now. Before it was like, thank you, I'm in, I have some skin in the game, I'm up. Now I'm hearing life-changing stories. Like, I mean, it started with the one when we were in Anaheim, and the gentleman that we spoke to actually made seven figures in 3 years with his investments. But now I'm hearing them just more and more constant. People just reaching out saying, "Hey, I was able to stop working. I was able to retire. I was able to enjoy more time with my family." Or another one more recent. This is a gentleman that he's been a client of ours now for 4 years, and I met him face to face when we were in Nashville, and he said, "Hey, I'm at the point. I've reached my goal." And he goes, "Do you remember what my goal was?" I go, "Yeah, you said you were going to build your dream home." He's like, "We're getting ready to break ground on my dream home." And I'm like, "Wow, congratulations and thank you for your trust." That's the thing, is people have handed us their trust, and we've not taken advantage of that. We've helped them be good stewards of what they've been blessed to have financially in their lives, and we're all rewarded for it. It's just been so much fun.
What I say, about the future, I say the end is written from the beginning. Okay, so God wrote the end from the beginning. He also wrote time. It's like when you scriptures, that the church wins. Okay, so that's cool. Well, it's really important. That's number one. But number two is the timelines have been written from the beginning, and so have the movements of the precious metals been written from the beginning. God's always had a plan, and it's written in scriptures, the wealth of the sinner. So who's the sinner? It's the people that go on national TV, the so-called analysts, and say gold, and they're talking in January of 2025, gold could go up $400 by the end of the year. Could. We're not sure. And so their agenda is always to downplay anything where there could be massive gains. Why? Very simple. You nailed it on the conversation you just said, people walking up to you and saying thank you. What are they saying thank you about? They're saying thank you for the freedom that listening to you allotted me. That's really important, because financial freedom, it gives you time. Because it's time is money, money's time. And so if you have significant finance, you bought yourself a lot of time. If you don't have money, then all you have is your labor. And that's called a job. Just over broke. And so what has everyone come up to you? They're literally telling you, Andrew, thank you for me having the ability now to get rid of my job, where I was just over broke, and my life now is going in the direction I've always wanted it to go. That's what they're telling you. They're saying thank you for pointing me in the right direction. That's what they're telling us, okay? Thank you for pointing us in the right direction in truth of what truly was going to happen. And so what ended up happening is, as much as gold was going up, and it was going to go up last year, what did you and I say? We repetitively on our podcast, we said, as good as gold is, Andrew and I are loading up on what? Silver. Because we said what? There's three, if you look at a racetrack and out of the gates, Bitcoin is number one, gold is number two. And we've always said, when that silver horse gets out of the gates, it's going to go so fast and so hard, it's going to blow your mind. And what had happened? What ended up being the number one performing asset class last year, from what I gather from the hard assets? I believe, last I checked, silver was the number one asset of last year, and it was off every analyst's radar in January, right?
And I love that. Like, so gold gets all the glory, and gold could have the glory, and it can keep it. I'm fine with that. That allows us to stack as much silver as we possibly can, while gold's getting the credit for everything. And it's going to be that way again in 2026. I shared with you earlier an article by Kitco, which I consider to be a legitimate news source, and they're estimating that that silver could go from $135 an ounce to $309 an ounce in 2026, and it's certainly doable. So if we look at the gain that silver did in 2025 and try to project what could happen in 2026, I'll take it from my conservative angle. So it's a fact that silver went up 144%. That's a fact. So,
Okay.
so if you figure that it only went up half of that in 2026, that's 72% potential gain. We're sitting at $78 silver. Okay. You take 78 and multiply by 1.72. That would mean that silver is going to $134.16 a year. That's if silver just did half in 2026 of what it did in 2025. That's a
Right.
very, very conservative approach. If you think that that can happen like I do, then you should be stacking up on even more silver than what you already have.
We don't need to glory about this to like, oh, Bo and Andrew are right. No, it's not necessary. I want to always give God the glory because he showed me what was going to happen. And Andrew and I repented. We were diligent, and we continued to make podcasts speaking truth. And what ends up happening is that we were right. Okay. And why? Because this is about a falling and a collapsing of a system. Okay. Andrew, how did we get here in the first place? They started creating money out of thin air, right? And we've talked about this. And now the money creation is so astronomical. You got to ask yourself the question, how could you feel comfortable not owning even an ounce of gold? Okay. And we always said that if you like gold, silver is going to be the one to go because when it goes, it's going to go exponentially relative to gold because of that ratio that we were looking at 100-1. And that's exactly what happened. So, these analysts, like you're saying, 128 was it? He's 128 to 300 something. You said what were the numbers?
Yeah, $135 to $309 for 1 ounce.
Everybody, write that down. It's going to go to about $140. So there's your target that they were talking about on Kitco just a couple day or two ago. Okay, so 140, and then it's going to drop down and bounce at support here about 121 bucks. So there is the next target. So you want to know what the next target is? Right there. It's at least 3 digits, most likely between $120 and $140. And why this is important, because people might be calling you up, Andrew, right now saying, hey, would have been, should have been great to buy silver at, 30 bucks, but I didn't, or the other comment you might be getting is, I bought some at 30 and 40, but I like to buy some more. What are your thoughts on it? So I'm trying to show you some patterns that is, now that it's broken through 71.50, immediately 100 plus becomes a target. So how fun is that? And so these analysts that are calling for like bigger numbers by the end of the year, the problem with that is they've never seen silver on steroids move. And we just witnessed that in what? November and December of last year, did we not? In 2 months, it went from where? Under 40 to $80 at Christmas, didn't it? Like 100% moved. Am I wrong? It was either October, November that it literally started accelerating, and by the new year in Christmas, just after Christmas, it hit $84.
It's I was in Asia for 2.5 weeks during that time. It's a time that I always travel because it's usually a little bit slower here at the office, and it's just a perfect time to get away. We were the busiest that we've ever been in that before Christmas to after New Year's Day timeframe. It was unbelievable. I remember texting with you in the middle of the night on Asia time, and I'm literally waking up every hour texting in group text with you and one other person, and also analyzing the price and updating the price list for the people that are here in the office. It was unbelievable. It was dollar days almost every single day. This is just really wild what we're seeing happen. And I just one thing that I wanted to comment on when you were talking about I think the human nature aspect of investing in anything when you know that you could have got it for much lower at a previous time. We have to get past that. As investors, you can't get caught up in that. I remember I have a friend that owns another gold company, and I told him that I took a very large position on Silver Eagles recently. I added to my position, but a big one. So I bought at $64 an ounce, and when silver jumped to 84, I go, that's the fastest $20 an ounce I could have ever expected to make. And at that point, it was only 15 days after the initial investment. And he said, well, that was a bold move getting in at 64. I go, not really. He goes, why? And I go, well, 64 is much higher when it bounced around $20 to $25 an ounce for years, but it's getting in at 64 when you know it's going over 100. That's an easy decision to make. And especially now that it's become crystal clear that the road to around $130 an ounce, we can see that. It's going to happen. That's 100% return on that investment, which is huge. And really, that's only the second reason why you would invest in precious metals. The primary reason is as an insurance policy against the rest of your portfolio. So if you position yourself to where you actually could make a profit in that short of a time frame with precious metals, which really should be a long-term investment, I think you got to jump in. This is where you have to be. This is silver's time to shine for sure.
Silver out of the gates is when it broke through $47 through $50. So silver is now out of the gates. Okay. So let's look at this as a racetrack. It hasn't even made the first turn around the corner yet. So how much time's left in this bull market? Silver just got out of the gates. So you need to understand that. To the people listening, you got to understand when gold started taking off, it went from 2000 and it broke out of the gates at 2000. And it's been like 2 years that it's been above 2000. Okay. Silver just got out of the gates above 50 2 months ago. This is only starting. I'm going to repeat. Gold's been making new highs above 2000 from 2011 for 2 years now. Silver is only out for 2 months. So this has got a long way to run with regards to time. And because there's a lot of time left into the future, the numbers that are coming are going to be breathtaking. Why I say that is because if you had the ability to buy silver right now at $75, $80, knowing that in the near future it's going to be 3 digits and then 4 digits, what a deal at $80 right now, Andrew. So I'm just having the viewers understand silver just got out of the gates. And yeah, it's a fun one to buy because when it goes percentages per day. They're called dollar days, which makes massive percentage moves per day. And so today, as an example, as we speak, it dropped down $5 onto the open. And now it's only down 3.5. Okay. So what I'm saying is there's a lot of resistance. So every drop like that is an opportunity. And in a bull market, there's a saying, buy high because it's going higher. Let that sink in. So with all of that said, Andrew, yes, it's fun to see the price go up. Yes, it's fun to see your investment, really perform. Yes, it's all wonderful with regards to the finances and the financial side of it. But the biggest and number one thing, the biggest and the number one reason that I look at silver and gold, particularly silver, is that it's the greatest insurance policy against all the greed and corruption going on in the world. And I'm telling you, Andrew, when you probably sell orders to people and they receive them, I know you've said it before, but one of the most frequent comments you get is they have the best night's sleep. They feel peace in their heart because why? They've invested. They basically put their money on God and His money, and they're not fully invested in only paper. So explain being invested in only paper and how you can convert that only paper to actually a hard asset like in your 401k and your IRA, but give some people, the viewers, at least an option here before prices really accelerate. And I'll finish right here and then I'll let Andrew finish. But I'll say this, the pullback today is like a slingshot. This week yet, into next week, we could see still $100 this month. Let that sink in. Okay, because it's only $20 away from $100, and look at the acceleration we've been seeing in silver. Right? Look what Andrew just said. He just bought some at $60, $65, and now it's already in $80. He made $20 in about a month. Okay, it's accelerating. When you own silver, it literally is like igniting a firework because when this thing goes, it's going to be wild. So again, Andrew, explain the paper assets versus hard assets in a
Yeah.
401k, in an IRA, and also, and some people just want to buy some from you. So finish up.
Yeah, this is actually perfect because I was on a different interview yesterday for a live show, and we received a lot of website submissions from it. And I was reading through them this morning, and one of them was disputing something that I had said on yesterday's interview, and it's something that we've talked about many times, Bo. So specifically, what that is that you could trade ETFs, you could own the rights to physical gold and silver by trading ETFs on the stock market. So a really popular one is SLV for silver, but it's not the same as owning physical silver. Owning a silver ETF doesn't protect you in an emergency. If there's an outage of the internet, a power outage, or if there's like a tsunami, earthquake.
Can I pause you for a minute? Because this is very important, the point you bring up here, and then please want you to continue. A neighbor friend of mine just the other day, I've been telling him about, buying some precious metals. So he went in, he called his broker up, and he bought a whole bunch of silver. And I didn't know until yesterday that his broker convinced him to buy silver SLV. So he basically, because when you call the brokers up, they will never settle you physical because they don't got it. So explain how you call your broker up and immediately you're going to be lied to.
Yeah, the brokers out there are only going to offer you what we call paper silver products, specifically SLV. That's the most popular one because they're going to tell you that owning physical silver is not worth it. They're going to give you a lot of reasons not to do it simply because they cannot offer it to you. If they could, they would sell it to you, but big brokerage houses like that don't offer it. So specifically what I was being disputed on was a comment that I had made where the ETFs claim that for each ounce of silver, or for every 100 ounces of silver, they only need to have 1 ounce of silver. So it's supposed to be a 100-to-1 ratio. I've heard it's maybe 1,000-to-1, but let's just go with the 100-to-1. So that means if there's 100,000 ounces of silver that are supposed to really be traded on an ETF, that there's really only 1,000 ounces that are physically held in a vault somewhere. Now, those are made up numbers, but that's similar to how it's supposed to work. And so this person had done a web search and said, everything that I could find shows that it's 100% backed. And I'm like, no way. So I did my own little web search, and I think I know what this person was reading. Every single ounce is recorded as far as what supposedly backs these ETFs, but it's only a fraction of each ounce that has a representation of physical silver in a vault. So that doesn't mean that every ounce is accounted for. It's just one tiny percentage of each ounce. So the point is that the only reason that I would think that it makes sense to own SLV is if you sold a property today and you knew that you have the funds and you knew that you were going to buy another property in a month and you didn't want it sitting in your bank account and you think silver is going to go up and you wouldn't want to buy $500,000 worth of physical silver to turn around and flip it a month later. It might make sense for that person to do it on an ETF. But if you got $500,000 and you're thinking of investing all of that into silver and you realize that silver is a long-term hold, 2 to 5 years minimum, then it would make sense to have physical silver and have it where you can get to it in an emergency. So ETFs don't help you in an emergency. It doesn't help you at all. Owning physical gold and silver in an emergency can really help you.
Let me just add this. If anyone out there listens to us and they, okay, that sounds great, I'm going to go with that, but I believe what they're saying. So then they turn around and buy SLV. To be honest with you, or a COMEX, some silver on the COMEX, you don't get it. You simply don't get it, and you should never have just even listened to us because it was a waste of time. Because you basically went back into the system and you put your money back into the system with them. The whole point of silver is to take that physical asset, have it delivered to a safe place wherever you want to keep it and store it, and now you're outside of the system. That's where the insurance comes in, because you hold the silver and you're now outside of the system. If you're buying SLV, you're agreeing to stay in the system. So might as well just go buy stocks. You don't get it.
Yep. And just to add to that, and then I'll talk about the precious metals IRAs, but just to add to that, JP Morgan now has beefed up their physical silver holdings now to it's 750,000. Let's see, what is it? No, 750 million ounces at this point. Yeah, before in 2011 they had 600 million ounces of silver, and when silver was at $49 an ounce, they started dumping it, and that's what knocked silver all the way down to the mid 30s.
Yeah.
And now JP Morgan owns they own more like 750 million ounces of silver, and they're actually moving them out of the United States and into a vault in Singapore. And I had this big article that somebody had sent to me recently, and I was able to verify a lot of the information that's in there. JP Morgan is really like stabbing the backs of the rest of the banks, because all the banks are against the precious metals, physical precious metals, because they've been holding it in place and making sure that the price can't move for decades. And JP Morgan, on the other hand, is taking a long position like we are. And I think that it's a smart move. You know, I'm not a fan of JP Morgan Chase, but I think it's a smart move, and it validates.
Can I add this to what you're saying?
Yeah.
What they've been doing is they've been playing a short game with all the other banks, okay? But in a one world system, a one world government, you only need one bank.
Yeah.
So think about this, right? So they've been buying secretly in the back end. So when silver explodes to 3 digits over $100 and then keeps running, these commercial banks are all going to go bankrupt. And all JP Morgan has to do is take their loss on their short position, and then they're going to make immense amount of money on their physical position. So it's called the cost of doing business. They're going to wipe out all their competitor banks, and they become the sole bank. Think about that. But that's the strategy. They don't care because it's about money, greed.
It's unbelievable, and I think it's very valuable information to actually know that. So as far as setting up a precious metals IRA, you can take your IRA, which is probably invested in stocks or possibly ETFs, and you can convert that IRA into a precious metals IRA. This is not a taxable event, and we're getting these open in about a week to 10 days. And when you do this, we'll make a purchase of physical gold and physical silver that's held at a vault in Delaware, where it's insured, and you would actually have physical gold and silver, and you don't have to store it at your home or your office. It's the greatest deal out there. If you take distributions on a regular basis, or if you take the required distribution once a year, we can help you with those. We just finished December. We probably did 1,000 distributions for people that have to take their one-time annual distribution. We help with all that stuff. So it really, I'm talking with people that have doubled and tripled their money in the retirement accounts. And there's not a lot of ways that you could have done that other than precious metals. And I just, if people reach out to us via the website there, fill out that online form, say that Bo Polny sent you, or Gold Forecast 2020, but in the notes section, say things like, I've got an IRA that I'd like to roll over into a precious metals IRA. We can help you with the 401ks. You might have a simple IRA, an inherited IRA, a government retirement account. These can all be converted into precious metals IRAs. Even if you're not sure if you want to do it, just reach out to us and at least have the conversation so that you can have the information to where when you are ready, you can make an educated decision to move forward.
I'll say this, there's a lot of precious dealers to buy from. So, Andrew's not the only source. You can go to anybody you want to buy. I've been doing interviews with Andrew for a long time, because I like him, number one. Number two is he has one of probably the best companies in America, and his shipping is far outperforms anybody I've ever seen in the past 15, 20 years of being involved here. He literally ships faster than anybody. And so again, whether you buy from Andrew or not, I trust Andrew. He comes on the screen with me, shows his face, nothing to hide. We've been honest about everything for 4 or 5 years now, and all we have is a ton of very happy people that have listened to us. So Andrew, I want to thank you for coming back. Actually, I want to thank you for doing these podcasts with me for all these years, and I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, I'm grateful. I really am. I'm grateful for the trust that we've had, for all the people that have reached out to us on through these interviews. I've had people sometimes say like I believe that silver is going to do exactly what you guys say it's going to do. I've had people say, your predictions or our predictions are way out there, and now we have people that are coming back saying, wow, the predictions were way out there, but they're happening. Everything's happening exactly how you said it would happen. In fact, in many cases, a little bit faster. So we do appreciate the trust, and it's not too late to get involved, not too late at all. I do believe that silver is going to hit this minimum target that Bank of America says that it will in 2026, which is $135 an ounce. Deep inside, I feel that number is going to be much higher, but I'd rather not throw that out there because I do have a responsibility to the people that reach out to us. And I want to guide you the best way that I possibly can, but definitely reach out to us. It's not too late. This is a good time to reshuffle your investments and position yourself for a greater potential for gain, and put you in a position to be a great steward of everything that you've been blessed with.
Thank you, Andrew. God bless. And I'm so happy to have you back. I know you had a great trip. So again, everybody, thank you for being here. Thanks for watching. And we will see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you. God bless.
Beverly Hills Precious Metals Exchange is a client-focused firm devoted to assisting our clients with precious metals. Our clients range from first-time to serious coin collectors and investors seeking to add precious metals to their investment portfolios. We are not interested in volatile investments, leveraged products, and intangible assets. With rising inflation and the devaluing of the dollar hurting middle-class families, investing in gold and silver ensures protection for your hard-earned money. Save the value of your money today by investing in gold and silver at Beverly Hills Precious Metals.